to gain our bearings on what's happening right now. It may appear to look like it's a long time for you, but right now there's a bunch of things going through our heads. You know, we have to piece together this puzzle and figure out kind of what happened and then initiate care. She looked unresponsive and dead just by looking at her from the doorway. As we step closer, it's dark outside. As we step closer, we see, okay, wait, there are some forms of life. She is like faintly breathing, and then we can't just move her over, we have to carefully move her. So there's just a number of steps that need to happen before we can just sort of dive in and just start running around.
Some more dramatic testimony and images for the jury today out in Los Angeles in the case of the murder or killing of Dr. Amie Harwick. She was a sex therapist. At one point was fiancé of Drew Carey, but it's a different ex who's charged with her murder. Gareth Pursehouse is his name. Kelly Craft, Court TV legal correspondent, is in Los Angeles and has a look at the biggest moments from today's testimony.
Well, hi there, Vinny. Today in court, we saw the actual arrest of Gareth Pursehouse. This arrest took place just hours after authorities arrived at Amie Harwick's home and found her lying beneath her third-floor balcony, barely hanging on. On the stand today, Detective Brian Wetzel. While he was on the stand, the state introduced this video. Let's take a look at it. This video is from February 15th of 2020. Around 2:30 p.m., authorities began performing surveillance of Pursehouse. This is at his Playa del Rey home. Pursehouse was observed getting into his red Lexus with a female. And then around 4 p.m., authorities made a stop and arrested him for the murder of Amie Harwick. Guns were drawn because this was a felony arrest of a murder suspect. The state also showed a photograph of Pursehouse the day he was arrested. Detective Wetzel said Pursehouse was arrested without incident. Now, prosecutors contend that defendant Gareth Pursehouse threw Amie Harwick over her third-floor balcony in the early morning hours of February 15, 2020. She later died from her injuries. The question in this case for the jurors will be, did he throw her over the balcony, or did she accidentally fall, as defense counsel contends? A piece of evidence that the prosecutors are using to bolster their theory that Pursehouse murdered Amie Harwick is the syringe that was found by officers at the crime scene on Harwick's balcony the night of the incident. Dr. Wu, the lab director at San Francisco General Hospital, he was on the stand today and he testified for the state about his analysis of the compound found inside that syringe. Let's listen.
Is nicotine at that purity level, is that a poison?
Objection, relevance. Based on your training and experience, are you able to answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, you may.
And the answer is yes. That high of a concentration is beyond what you would ever expect to see in a cigarette or in a smokeless tobacco or any other nicotine product. This is highly poisonous, in my opinion.
And Vinny, defense counsel did not want Dr. Wu to answer that question, objecting when the state asked him to give his opinion about the nicotine that was found inside that syringe. But Judge Lamelli said to Dr. Wu, he asked him, he said, well, based on your experience, are you able to give us that opinion? Dr. Wu said yes, and he did, telling the jurors that the nicotine was highly poisonous. This is so important for the jurors, and you can tell they were really paying close attention to his testimony, especially when he talked about how highly poisonous it was, because they have to decide if Gareth Pursehouse was lying in wait and then intended to kill Amie Harwick by what prosecutors say, throwing her over the balcony. Court resumes tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Vinny, that's the latest here from Los Angeles. We'll send it back to you.
Kelly Craft in Los Angeles covering the story for us. So I want to show you something else happened in court today. Body cam video, and this is, responding to the scene. The roommate who testified earlier in the case is seen on the video. Let's take a listen.
The thing is, when we got here, we searched the entire house. You know what I mean? So, unless there's some other hidden compartment in this house.
But he probably fled.
But weren't you outside?
No, I ran and left to go get a neighbor because I didn't have a phone. So I was trying to beat on the door and say, I'm calling you guys, calling out.
Right.
That's what I was doing.
So you were in here when you heard it?
Yes.
Sleeping?
Yes.
And you ran out?
I just, at first I thought she was in the house, so I was like, oh, she must be in the house or something. So I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, just had this first thing, I don't know why, everything was on. But then it kept on. I'm like,
What do you mean it kept on?
It kept on. So it was,
What do you mean when you say it kept on? Like, what do you mean?
the struggle, it sounded like a struggle.
Okay.
And then I'm like, what we felt like, the first thing came on is both of us are going to be dead. Nobody's going to
Sure. And you didn't hear anybody else's voice?
I stopped it at 41 minutes and 53 seconds. So at this point, you're asking Mr. Michael Herman some questions.
Yes.
And he makes it clear that what he heard was a struggle. It sounded like a struggle.
Correct.
And I run up the back door, and they're still screaming the whole time. I'm telling you, it sounded like a struggle. Like,
Okay.
I just didn't know how many, I just didn't want both these dead. Like, you
No,
know,
I understand, yeah. So when you ran out there, she wasn't up. She
she was
obviously.
not out there. She was not out there. I ran out. She was still upstairs yelling when I ran out.
Right.
All right, let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us, Daryl Cohen, Erica Wilson, Josh Schiffer. The roommate heard the struggle, ran, tried to get help, and it seems like he was almost questioned like potentially a suspect when they first show up. But focusing on his testimony, hearing this struggle, that gets rid of this whole accident, this crazy accident defense.
No, it doesn't, because he said it sounded like a struggle. What does a struggle sound like to you? I'm not sure. If I'm watching it, that's different. But if I'm hearing it, it might be an argument. It might be pushing and not pushing, or talking or not talking.
And doesn't that lead to someone getting pushed off a balcony rather than, oops?
It's a definite maybe.
I mean, you got to look at everything. There was yelling. You heard a struggle. People know you know what a struggle sounds like, right?
I'm struggling to understand.
But my whole issue is, and he runs.
He fled.
And he fled. Yeah, he fled.
Yeah.
Now listen, I'm not going to emasculate him by
came
calling
back.
him, but yeah. I just it doesn't fit for me. If I live with this person and I hear them struggling in a fight, you don't run across the street to go get it. No, you go to it.
Not
you run into
necessarily.
it.
Not necessarily. I
You
can't
could be in
fault him.
fear.
I can't
No.
fault him for that. I can't.
Don't necessarily.
Then wasn't he home when the guy snuck in, maybe?
Yeah.
We need some more timeline on this big
No,
thing.
he was there. He heard what was happening. If he's sleeping, though. And like you wake up, you hear this, he doesn't know exactly what's going on. By the way, this photo, the defense is trying to use this as evidence that she fell over that balcony.
Yeah.
Is that ridiculous?
No, it's not.
Why is that not ridiculous?
It's setting
I don't know,
up
I think it
what
fits
she
her very
might
well.
be doing. It might be showing that she tended to push the limits.
That's an illogical leap that I cannot get behind, because she took a picture. We don't even know when this picture was taken. That on that night, what are you saying, that she was posed like that on that night
I'm
in the
saying
midst
she-
of an
In
argument?
the middle of the
when you
struggle,
see
she's
this,
like,
you
wait,
see
wait,
this.
Wait a
first.
minute. Yeah, get a
Hey,
picture.
Hey, take my phone. Can you
Yeah.
take this picture for me?
Yeah,
No,
because I'm a
come
sex
on.
therapist and I want everybody to know what I'm doing.
No.
I got issues with the physicality of this patio, how they end up there. And we haven't even really gotten into this nicotine thing as much. Was it there?
This is bizarre.
It's
This
bizarre.
nicotine-filled syringe. Where do you even buy nicotine? Like, where would you even get it?
Over-the-counter nicotine stores.
Really?
It's actually available online at a very low cost because it's vape juice.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's
Okay.
what I'm thinking it is, because it's 80-something% pure, and it's nicotine. There's not really another use for it, I don't think, other than
Now,
vape.
he's claiming this is what he's going to use to take his own life?
That's what the word that I've gotten is that was his intent, was to kill himself with it, but that doesn't make any sense to me. In
Death
20
by
years,
nicotine.
20
I've
years
never
practicing
heard
law, I've never
Either
heard it.
30 years of smoking, 5 or 6 packs a day, or one shot. One call, that's all. One shot, that's it.
If you want to kill somebody, that's not the way you do it. And if you want to kill yourself, it's certainly not the way you're going to do it.
Not if you're
It's almost
smart.
like you want
Maybe he's not so
to
smart.
punish someone. You want them to get sick. You know, this guy, though, at the end of the day, like, he's a stalker. Like, we know the jury's already got that picture that there's something off. Final question. We have like a minute left here. Does this guy have to get up on the stand and explain what he was doing there that night?
I want him to explain that hairdo, because I don't understand what's going on with that.
I
That
want
looks.
to know what happened to him when he was in jail, because
The
if
answer
you look
is
at
yes,
that picture.
he should, because he'll help himself if he testifies well. If not, he needs to KYD BMS. Keep his damn big mouth shut.
And really, it may not be a stalker as much as triggered, because what we know is she hadn't heard from him. He'd been holding a torch, but he runs into her at this adult video awards show, and then he's on the floor in the fetal position talking about texts, and then he ends up at her place.
Like the kids say less.
Say less.
Say less.
Amen.
We shall see. We're going to keep an eye on it, obviously.